The new Future of the Franchise featured program just dropped today, along with 99 George Brett, who I am currently grinding for. However, let's go on into the program, go through all 12 of the choice packs that we have, and decide which cards you should be choosing on your team if you're looking to make some upgrades on your team with these new future cards. Future star cards. Words. But now, here's our program. You see, we have a bunch of Diamond, Legend, and Flashback cards. A lot of these cards will not be seeing the light of many teams. They don't have much purpose because they are lower overall diamonds, but however, any cards you like, you definitely can use them. Like Austin Meadows here is a nice little power bat. However, they aren't going to be some of the best in the game. But now we go to our big future star packs. You get your first one at 150k XP, and you're going to get 2 of these packs throughout the length of the entire program. They're choice packs, every single one of the choice packs, no random packs like the first featured program. Let's see, Gunnar Henderson seems like a nice left-handed middle infield option. I like the power versus righties and still respectable versus left. However, that vision's a little bit low, which may be a deterrent of using him on Hall of Fame and Legend. Brian Bello just does not seem like he has enough. Doesn't have outlier on his fastball. He probably could be solid, kind of like that lower overall Nolan Ryan card. However, 2 speeds on the pitches might be tough to work with. Oswald Peraza honestly seems like a solid middle infield type. Good defense, speed, contact. The power could be a little bit better, but at least it's higher than someone like a Michael Young. Josh Lowe at first really looked like a really intriguing card. However, he reminds me of this like the Byron Buxton type with like really better defense and speed. The hitting is actually pretty good though, but not as good as some of our other outfield options. And then Aurelvis Martinez for the Jays, third base with some middle infield secondaries. Less defense, however, brings more power versus right. Got the good old reverse splits. Again, I would probably play him, stick him at third or maybe second base. At 64 speed, might not have the best fielding range at short, especially with like low silver fielding there. If I were to pick 2 in this division, I would probably be picking Gunnar Henderson and Oswald Peraza, playing them in the middle infield. Also, if you're not going to pick Peraza, for example, you may want to pick a Josh Lowe or Martinez. These ones are all pretty close. I don't think there's any runaway must-have options. Our NL East here, we got Michael Harris, a little bit of a contact boy. Again, good defense and speed. Honestly, a lot like that Josh Lowe card, but brings more contact to the table, so will bring some value on Hall of Fame and Legend. But again, that lack of power, it's not going to hit the ball very hard. Khalil Watson honestly looks like a slightly boosted Jazz Chisholm type. Probably want to keep him at shortstop. Probably don't want to slide him over to third, because I think they're going to be better options for third base. However, lefty hitting middle infielders seem to be pretty valuable. A lot of good righties at this point in the game. Brett Beatty mashes versus righties, still better than a lot of those other cards versus lefties, and then brings gold fielding to the table. If I was to pick one third baseman, it would be Brett Beatty. He would be, I think, the go-to third baseman of this program. And then the other guys who are shortstop options, probably want to play shortstop and second base. Stott, I think, honestly, could be a very legit shortstop option. He's like Chase Utley's card. If you like Chase Utley, you're probably like Bryson Stott. Just a little bit lower on the power. Contact is good. Defense is going to be good, especially a couple parallels in. And solid speed as well. Very well-rounded card. And then Brady House, a name I know some people were excited for at first. Honestly, looks like a pretty well-rounded middle infielder type, but again, a little slower. Okay in the defensive side of things, but that contact versus right kind of feels like it could have been a little bit better. A good option. Any go-to? I don't think so. If it were me, I would be picking Brett Beatty as like a must in this division. And then if you need a shortstop, go for Watson, Stott, or Brady House. Then in our AL Central, you have Yoelqui Cespedes. Looks like a Ronald Acuna type hitter with the slightly lower contact, solid power versus both sides, lower vision. I think he's going to be a nice outfield option. George Valera, definitely really good versus righties. Kind of similar to what Yoelqui looks like. However, brings more platoon splits versus righties. There's a little bit more to that discipline, which honestly isn't the biggest deal, and is a little bit slower. But I would say this is at least a really good bet off the bench versus righties at this point. And if you are someone who wants to throw someone in the corners, it's probably someone you want to throw in left or right with that slower speed. Don't want to play him in center net secondary. Jackson Jobe, I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. Primary slider, four-seam fastball. I mean, if you need a starter, it could be solid. I mean, the hits per 9 is up to par at this point in the game. Got good control on a fair amount of his pitches. Really good break in the slider. It's just, if this is me, I'm having a tough time pitching with that pitch mix. Two fastballs the same speed. However, the slider, circle change, curveball could be good. I wouldn't be using him on a World Series push. But, you know, if you need a starter, definitely can. Nick Prado here, I think, actually is really good as a corner outfield option. That contact is good. Vision is a little low. He may strike out a bit in Hall of Fame and Legend, but that defense will have gold fielding, 52 speed in the corners will be more than fine. But that power plays versus both sides, especially at this point in the game. And then Austin Martin honestly seems like you took Michael Young and then plopped him into center field. Pretty good card though. I mean, that card can play well, solid contact and power. Fielding, he's got a lot of secondary, so a good bench guy to have if you're looking to have the versatility. So if you're building your team, this is a good option to go for if you need that left side of the infield or outfielder. This is me. I'm probably personally picking Yoelqui Cespedes and Nick Prato. I don't know how to pronounce any of these dudes' names. Then the NL Central, P. Crow Armstrong, high contact, low power type. That power may result in some hard hit lineouts. Part of the cards like this. However, he could be solid if you like the Tony Gwynn type cards. Austin Hendrick here brings better power. Again, we compared him to Nick Prato. He's got lower contact than him. So, you know, this is actually a good corner outfielder type, but at least he brings the speed. All-star difficulty, his card seems like a goon. Outside of that, Hall of Fame legend may struggle with those 80s level of contact at this point. Garrett Mitchell, a little bit more well-rounded, brings more defense and speed at the sacrifice of some of the hitting with the contact and power being a little bit lower. I do like this card though if you are just looking for that center fielder type. Henry Davis seems like a great catcher right now. I'm willing to put 75 fielding out there for those hitting attributes. And especially if you get a few parallels on him, this card seems nasty. He's definitely one of the better catchers in this program. Mason Wynn. Another high contact, low power. This is the division of the slappy guys. Again, if you want that type of option at shortstop, you can definitely get that out of Mason Wynn here. However, not one I would be choosing. I'd probably be choosing Henry Davis and Austin Hendrick. Now in our AL West, we got Corey Lee, who does seem like a better overall catcher with the defense being a little higher than Henry Davis. With that contact versus right, little bit of a red flag, but he's better versus lefties. Reed Detmers might be tough to like this card. The slider, circle change, all the same speed. At least the fastball is significantly faster than the cutter. Having that change of speed is valuable. Definitely a solid left-handed starter if you need it. I don't think he'll be incredible though. Just looking at that pitch mix, a lot of people may struggle to pitch with it. And again, that cutter doesn't have much break being the 5th pitch, so not that valuable of a pitch to add to the repertoire. Shea Langeliers honestly looks like that Nick Prato card, but at catcher here, except slower, but diamond fielding. If you're someone who's playing on All-Star and Hall of Fame, this card actually can be really good. There's a little bit better contact. That 90 contact is nice. You're sacrificing a little bit of that contact versus left, I think, for a little bit more power versus both sides, and a little bit of that speed. But the diamond defense, you're somebody who hates bad defensive catchers, and he's the one you should take. Matt Brash seems pretty nice. He's got the 4-seam, 2-seam, really good break on the slider. The slider slurve mix is a popular thing this year, apparently. And for some reason, the velocity on the slurve is just a little bit slower than the slider. So you don't have as much change of speed with that, which they're nearly the same pitch. I think he'll be a solid pitcher again if you need one. I don't know how lights out he'll be though. At least the attributes are there. And then Justin Foscue. I think this card seems like one of my personal picks for a middle infield type. That power is real good versus both sides. And again, I would sacrifice a little bit of contact. 85 is fine with that level of power, so. Second base, a weak position in this game in general. This is definitely one of my picks in this division. I would say Foscue is a must-have in this pack. You're looking for that middle infield type, especially a second baseman. If you don't have that catcher yet, if you don't have a starter, Brash and Detmers are going to be respectable, and Corey Lee and Langeliers are going to be respectable as well. They're just different types. Maybe you need the lefty, maybe you need the righty, maybe you need the defensive first catcher, maybe you need that guy that's really good versus left. Speaking of starting pitchers, we have Blake Walston. Solid control on this stuff, solid break in the curveball. Thing is, this pitch mix again. Curveball, circle change, slider. Actually pretty good, but again, the second fastball being a 2-seam with little break doesn't seem to be a valuable pitch to add to the mix. More of like a back end of the rotation starter, kind of like Reed Detmers, I'd say. Michael Toglia kind of looks like Justin Foscue hitting wise, except a little bit less vision than I think Foscue, but also has really good fielding. I think this is a good first base or corner outfield option. Switch hitting is really big though. This card, I think you should find some way to fit on your team, whether or not you use him at first or the corner outfield. Switch hitting is a premium. This is definitely a really good card to have right now. Bobby Miller again. Really good card to have right now because he has Outlier. You all know how Outlier works. Increases the fastball to a little bit higher velo, hits 101, 102 regularly, and the hits and Ks per 9 is pretty good. Got pretty solid break on the slider and the splitter and the fastball. So he's definitely a more velocity guy and less of a control guy. These pitchers usually play on all difficulties pretty well. I think he'll be the most popular pitcher. Campusano honestly looks like a solid catcher, but I think more people will be choosing their catchers out of the other ones because, again, with Campusano, a little bit lower on the contact versus right, but even more than that, not enough in the defense, not enough in the speed, not enough in the contact. He looks like a good card, like, actually, but I think it's smarter to not choose Campusano, choose a catcher like Davis or Langeliers or Lee, and then use this pack for one of our other guys like Bobby Miller and Toglia. And speaking of catchers, another catcher, Joey Bart. Again, a little weaker versus righties. That vision is very low. I wouldn't be using it much past All-Star. Again, a lot of our catchers are very similar to take Bobby Miller and Toglia. That is all of our packs. So long story short, there are a lot of catchers, a lot of middle infielders, a lot of guys who can play in the corner outfield in these Future Stars cards. Honestly, that's who I would be picking first, but let me know in the comments of this video. Any of you have tried these cards, let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. We're gonna be working on the tier list, including all of these cards throughout the weekend here. So I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all again on the next video.